Quinoa. It gets called the superfood swap for rice because it's lower glycemic index. Well, that's true, but it's not the reason it actually helps your blood sugar. The reason, the real reason, is baked into the grain itself, and it has nothing to do with how slow the sugar hits. Here's a great explanation.
The glycemic index numbers are real. White rice, especially jasmine varieties, tests high, often in the 80s or 90s. Quinoa tests meaningfully lower, closer to the 50s. That gap is exactly why quinoa gets marketed as the diabetic-friendly grain. But glycemic index alone doesn't explain why the gap exists. It just measures the outcome, not the mechanism.
A cup of cooked quinoa carries about 8 grams of complete protein. A cup of cooked white rice carries almost none. That difference in composition matters more than most people realize. Protein eaten alongside or ahead of carbohydrate triggers an early insulin and incretin response, the gut hormone signal that helps the body prepare for incoming glucose before the peak even arrives.
This isn't a theoretical idea. Clinical research on the protein preload effect, including trials led by Dr. Daniela Jakubowicz, tested giving people with type 2 diabetes a source of protein several minutes before a carbohydrate-containing meal. Across these trials, the post-meal glucose spike was measurably blunted compared to eating the same carbohydrate alone. The proposed mechanism runs through incretin hormones, GLP-1 in particular, which protein intake stimulates and which in turn slow stomach emptying and boost insulin release timed to when glucose actually arrives.
Not all protein sends the same signal to your gut. Quinoa's protein is unusual among grains because it's what's called complete. It carries all 9 essential amino acids, including lysine, which most grains, rice included, are naturally low in. Research on protein quality and gut hormone secretion points to something specific here. It isn't just total protein grams that drive incretin release, it's the essential amino acid profile. Amino acids like leucine and lysine appear to trigger a stronger GLP-1 response than an equivalent gram amount of an incomplete protein source. That's part of why quinoa's built-in 8 grams does more work than the number alone suggests. It isn't just protein, it's protein with the right composition to fully engage the incretin system. Swapping in an equal gram amount of a lower quality protein source may still help, but it isn't guaranteed to produce the identical blunting effect quinoa's own protein does.
Some of you may be wondering, doesn't quinoa also contain more fiber than white rice? Yes, it does. A cooked cup of quinoa provides about 5 grams of fiber, while a similar serving of white rice contains much less. What's interesting is that protein and fiber contribute in different ways during digestion. Fiber isn't fully digested in the small intestine. Instead, a portion reaches the large intestine, where it can be used by beneficial gut bacteria. This process has made fiber an important topic in nutrition research. Protein, on the other hand, is digested differently and is part of the body's normal response to a meal. Because quinoa naturally contains both more protein and more fiber than white rice, it offers a different nutritional profile. That doesn't make white rice a bad food. It simply means the two foods have different characteristics. Many people choose to combine white rice with protein and fiber-rich foods to create a more balanced meal.
Quinoa doesn't need a separate protein preload step. It comes pre-built into the grain. You get the carbohydrate and the protein signal in the same bite, on the same fork. White rice, by contrast, is close to pure, fast-digesting starch with none of that built-in buffering. Whatever blunting effect happens with rice has to come from something else on the plate. Rice by itself
doesn't bring its own break.
So the honest answer isn't quinoa is magic because it's low glycemic. It's that quinoa pairs its carbohydrate with its own protein preload, and rice doesn't, which matters more than the glycemic index number by itself. And that reframe matters practically because it means the fix for rice isn't necessarily to abandon it, it's to stop eating it alone. Add a protein or legume source, and you're recreating, on your plate, the same pairing quinoa already has built in. In practice, that looks like a cup of rice paired with a half cup of lentils, black beans, or edamame, enough protein to matter, not a garnish. Timing helps too. A few bites of the protein first before the rice gives the incretin signal a small head start, closer to how the clinical preload trials were actually structured.
So if you're going to eat rice, and plenty of people on this protocol still do, don't eat it alone. Pair it with a protein source, a bean, a lentil, something with its own preload effect. That's the actual lever, not the swap, the pairing. There are many rice and quinoa recipes in the Dominate Diabetes Now program. If you're interested in information on that, click the link below. Small details like this are what took my own insulin from 83 units a day down to 35 units a day. That's not managing your diabetes, that's dominating it.